On today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast, 8 sacks on Will Levis isn't enough. Allowing Will Levis and that offense to get rolling in the first half led to the Houston Texans struggling in the second half. And again, no offensive touchdowns by the offense. Another stinker. We got a lot to talk about.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Battle Red Nation. I am your Texans football analyst and credentialed media member, John Some Sports Guy Hickman. I don't know it all, but what I do know, I like to come talk to you guys about it, alongside the man with the big hat and the even bigger smile, who is not smiling right now, so the even bigger frown. But I am with, of course, Brian Big Sarge.
Smile on the inside.
I don't even think we got smiles on the inside. Shout out to our everydayers. Thank you guys for making us your first listen. You guys are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network family, your team every day. Today, we are talking about, we've got a little positives we can build on, just a little bit, because I do think the D-line had a great game. Demeco Ryans, definitely disappointed in his defense. I think specifically that first half. But Houston does have a problem, and I think today's show, me and Sarge may be the only people in the sports media to criticize CJ Stroud and his performance on the offensive side of the ball. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get started with the season with FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed if you win your first $5 bet. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. Big Sarge. The Texans allow several offensive explosive plays on the defensive side of the ball. They allow 132 yards on the ground, and they allow Will Levis to have himself a day, especially in that first half. But with all that being said, we both feel like this loss should be placed on the shoulders of quarterback CJ Stroud.
Not both shoulders. Not both. One shoulder, John. And let me just say this. The one thing that I do like about Houston Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, he takes accountability.
He does.
He takes accountability. He does not, he does not pass the buck. He does not blame anybody else. He says it starts and it stops with him, because CJ is one of those guys, and having talked to him on the record and off the record, he's one of those guys that he's like, look, when I'm doing good, y'all praise me. When I'm doing bad, you should be able to criticize me, because if I can take the praises, I need to be able to take the criticism as well. And so he knows that everything starts and stops with him. So I like the fact that he has, taken accountability for some of the things that he's done, and especially the way that he's played. Oh, even over the last 3 games in the second half. And John, listen, I wish, wait a minute, because there's no sponsorship. I wish that I could give Bobby Slowick this and put masking tape on it and say, second half secret stuff.
And for those of you that are listening to the audio, Sarge just held up a Gatorade bottle.
My bad. I forgot we do. Yes, I apologize, y'all. I'm just a little frustrated after what I seen on that field. John, in the last 3 games, and I'm talking about the Detroit Lions, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Tennessee Titans, right? In the first half, CJ has completed 38 of his 57 attempts for 66%, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception for 472 yards.
That's great.
In the first half, 66% of his passes have been completed for 472 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And for our audio listeners, the reason why I held up the bottle of secret stuff, and I think I might have said it here before, but I'm gonna say it again. Like in Space Jam, Mike made everybody believe that he had secret stuff in a water bottle, and it was nothing but water. And he gave them a false sense of reality and made them think that they were better than what they was, but he knew what they had in them, and it took them to the next level. And so Bobby Slowick needs to get some of that that secret stuff from somewhere and somebody, because John, in the second half, CJ is completing 55% of his passes, 264 yards, no touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And they are 1-2 in those last games. So for as much as we want to put it on CJ Stroud, and CJ did not play well against the Tennessee Titans in the second half. He looked a little bit raggedy in the first half, but that second half, John, is almost like we're watching the same movie over and over and over again in the second half. And so yes, you can put that some of that loss against the Tennessee Titans on one shoulder of CJ Stroud, but on that other shoulder, you can't put that on him. So one shoulder for him, one shoulder for offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick. Because and real quickly, John, you got to be able to make sure that you put your quarterback in a position. CJ is 23 years old in his second season. He's going to go through some ups and some downs, and there's going to be some adjustments made. Bobby has been in the NFL longer than CJ has. Bobby has been on teams where he's watched. When he's with the 49ers, he watched teams make adjustments to Brock Purdy. He watched teams make adjustments to Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuels, George Kittles, right? You watch this happen, so you know that it's going to happen. And you were with one of the best in-game adjusters in Kyle Shanahan. So that's just something you should have picked up. If you want to be part of that Kyle Shanahan tree, then you should have picked that up as well, knowing coming into this season that, hey, man, this is what needs to happen. So as I digress, the second half, Bobby Slowick, to me, didn't call the best of games. And I know that some people, look, it's better than it has been, but it just wasn't good enough, John.
Bobby Slowick, to your Bobby Slowick point, I think this is just my next statement is I'm just wrapping up the entire season with what I'm about to say. Bobby Slowick is a guy that drove around in the passenger seat with the cool guy, and he was able to pick up, get friends or pick up women because he was in a fancy car in San Francisco labeled as, this amazing offense, but who was really driving that?
Right.
Kyle Shanahan, right? And even, they're having those issues.
Keys.
He had the keys. And right now, Bobby Slowick does look like, if I'm looking at the entire season, he does look like that dirty guy with clean shoes. Eventually it's going to get messy.
Wait, John, hold on. Was he hanging out the passenger side of his best friend's ride?
That may have been Bobby Slowick, but but to CJ, 54 yards in the second half. At some point, the quarterback got to take that blame.
Yes,
right. You look at going down there and the touchdown that was called back. Yeah, CJ came out and said that was my fault. He took ownership on the illegal motion because he said he told two guys that one time the motion.
Yep.
So you got to count that towards CJ. That's a TD wiped off the board. And we also know that they were not even able to tie the game up due to a Kaimi Fairbairn missed field goal. Yes. So that's on them, right? I look at the John Mechie interception. That one is where I say, you know what, that can be some gray lines. That goes back to not necessarily having a lot of time with CJ in the offseason as much as I thought that he should have, running with the first team unit. We know that Stephon Diggs came here in Houston. I think we'll talk about later in the week why Stephon's presence actually did hurt this offense a little bit, not from a diva standpoint, but because the dirty guy with the clean shoes didn't know how to make it work, right? He finally was able to get the fine girl from the passenger seat on the two-man, but he didn't know what to say to her. Yeah. He didn't know how to make it work without his homeboy right there. Yep. So we'll talk about that, but I think that miscommunication between Mechie and CJ Stroud led to that interception.
Right before the half, too.
Right before the half, they had one touchdown. They had plenty of time to at least get three. I thought that was probably the goal, seeing as though we've seen this offense play for three a lot. And so, yeah, you gotta take that accountability. So right now we're looking at 54 yards in the second half, a touchdown wiped off the board because of the miscommunication on the illegal motion. And then we're also looking at the the John Mechie interception. That can go both ways, whether John Mechie didn't come all the way into that zone and sit. Maybe CJ got the ball out a little bit quicker. And by the way, I thought the offensive line played very well in terms of pass blocking in that first half specifically, gave him the time. And then I didn't even get to the linebacker interception for the pass that was intended for Nico Collins, where he said, I just need a little bit more error on that. And so when I critique CJ, it ain't from a standpoint of maybe some people, we got to have a conversation. Maybe he ain't what we thought he was going to be. And maybe he's, the one the lick test is showing the S2. That ain't what I'm saying. Because for the most part of this year, the blame has been placed on, rightfully so, the dirty guy with the clean shoes. And I'm not necessarily calling Bobby Slow dirty. I'm just using it as a reference of a guy that, maybe you're not ready for what you're trying to stunt and flex with.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that has rubbed off on CJ Stroud. A couple of things before we move on. I think CJ Stroud has become very gunshot.
Yes.
We are seeing CJ throw off his back foot a lot. The beautiful pass to Nico Collins, that 56-yard dropped in the breadbasket.
Should have been a touchdown.
That should have been a touchdown. We know Nico with those long strides would have went and got that and ran it in. Now he scored on that drive. But we're seeing CJ, from a quarterback standpoint, anticipate hits, and now those hits are not even there yet.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of uncharacteristic things become characteristic of CJ Stroud in this game, and I think that's large part due the issues from the entire season.
And just real quick, John, before we move on, that interception that he threw and what you just got through talking about with Mechie, I'm going to tell you, and the reason why I blame CJ for that, not just for the pass, not just for the pass. One, CJ rushed that throw.
Very much so.
What happened to the CJ that used to go through his progressions? Because if he went through his progressions, he'd have seen
Tankdale.
Right. You'd have seen Tankdale sitting right in front of him. He doesn't do that a lot anymore, John. One, he doesn't do that a lot anymore. His footwork, he looks like Davis Mills in the pocket, choppy. And that could be from the pressures and the hits that he's taking. But John, when's the last time you seen CJ throw a pass and hit a receiver in stride? There's so many adjustments these wide receivers got to make to catch the ball.
There was even a Tank Dale pass that I thought, man, Tank had to today.
The 33-yard.
He had to stop a little bit now. He was able to catch it, cut on the dime to get a couple extra yards. But what we were typically able to see, he's hitting at his stride. But we got to talk about the defense, Sarge, because no matter how we feel about the offensive performance, Demeco Ryans ain't hearing none of that. Will Levis can't have a day on my defense. And so we'll talk about that on the opposite side. Hey, listen, guys, history, economics, the great works of literature, the meaning of the U.S. Constitution. Did you study any of these things in school? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you didn't have the time. Who knows? I'm not here to judge, but all I am here to do is help you get back involved and, learn some things. Even if you did, maybe it's time for a refresher. Time and technology have changed a lot of things, but they have not changed the basics, the fundamental truths about the world and our place in it. Right now, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses. We got Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, and introduction to the free market economics. Right now, I'm on the brand new documentary style on Marxism, socialism, and communism. I'm really enjoying that, taking my notes, and I'll definitely want to see how that impacts Americans in today's society. So all of Hillsdale courses are self-paced, so you can start wherever and tune in whenever. Plus, you can go deeper with readings, quizzes, discussions, or you can just enjoy the lectures. Right now, you can go to Hillsdale College at hillsdale.edu/locked-on to enroll. There is no cost. It's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. Again, hillsdale.edu/locked-on to register. Also, Texan fans, I know it was a rough Sunday, but if you are looking to make your game day experience a little bit more exciting and take it to the next level, check out Prize Picks, the easiest way to play daily fantasy sports. You just pick more or less on your favorite player stat projections and watch the action unfold right in front of your eyes. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to pick more than or less than for the Houston Texans Titans game. But Monday night got some exciting picks on the board. Justin Herbert, more or less than 257.5 passing yards, or Cooper Kupp, more or less than 65 receiving yards. So you can get in all on the action. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5 with code Locked On NFL. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts, select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. So PrizePicks, go to PrizePicks today. Again, go to PrizePicks today. Download the app. Run your game. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. If this is your first time listening on the audio podcast or watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like, and comment. Big Sarge, just a little bit of piece of the offensive conversation. I do have a problem with seeing Dalton Schultz involved in one quarter and not seeing him involved until the end of the game. That's just me. We could talk about that later in the week. Now, I asked Demeco Ryans, and when I asked him that question, it didn't sound like he was too happy of me to ask him that question, but I definitely have a lot of respect for Demeco. I just asked him about, hey, listen, the last 2 one-score games, you lost. And I asked, do you guys need more from your offense? And he said a lot, but the one thing that stuck out to me was we got to have a more balanced game, basically. We cannot count on one side of the ball to carry us. Everybody got to be basically solid and do their job, and they need 4 good quarters of Texans football. But, Sarge, give me a moment.
Gotcha.
This is a defensive-minded coach.
Yep.
So you're going to get defensive-minded responses. You're going to get a coach that when the team loses, he's going to give you what he feels like the defense should have did. And mind you, in these last 2 one-score games against the Lions, 5 interceptions. Sunday against the Titans, 8 sacks, 3 turnovers, 1 pick six. So we all can agree the offense needs to do more.
Oh, for sure.
Especially in the second half. That's been the story all year. But if I'm Demeco Ryans as a defensive coach, I am thinking to myself, Tony Pollard almost rushed for 100 yards in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
My defense allowed how many explosive plays throughout the entire game? And my safeties let me down all game for the most part. Jimmy Ward was able to give us a pick six to redeem that unit. But Eric Murray, the vet, he was getting beat. Whiffing on tackles, double moves, getting them beat for touchdowns. I think he allowed and accounted for 2 TDs, right? We got a safety that in Eric Murray ain't covering his zone coming down, and that's leaving Stingley jeopardized on his coverage.
Yep.
Right? Yeah, we got the 8 sacks, but what did we do with those sacks in the second half? Yeah, we were able to, win on special teams, but on 3rd and long, my defense allowed a touchdown. On 3rd and long, my defense allowed another explosive play. So I think this defense right now, very good defense, top 3 defense in the NFL. But if I'm looking at it from Demeco Ryans' eyes, I can see him saying, oh, yeah, we got a problem because y'all let me down, and that's forcing the team to get let down. He is the defensive coach.
John, I listen. You know what? I listened, and I heard your soliloquy, and it was beautiful. I heard your dissertation, and it was amazing. I heard your mixtape. It was awesome. Even though, I don't know, I've never really heard you rap, but you say you can. But John, I listened and I heard all of that, right?
What you got for me? Because I don't think we're gonna agree.
We're not, because this ain't nothing but coach speak, John. It ain't nothing but coach speak from Demeco Ryans, because he's not going to throw anybody under the bus.
He's never going to do that. He's
not going to throw Bobby under the bus. He's not going to throw CJ under the bus. He's not going to throw the offense under the bus. He's not going to throw the defense under the bus. So, John, with that being said, of course, yes, he's a defensive-minded coach, and the defense is playing well. The defense ain't the problem. The defense ain't the problem, John. And look, I understand. In the first half, I got the stats right here. In the first half, Will Levis was 11 for 12 for 177 yards, 1 touchdown. Tony Pollard had 10 carries for 89 yards and 1 touchdown, right? Will Levis only had 1 incompletion, 177 yards and a touchdown, and Tony Pollard was averaging almost 9 yards a carry and a touchdown. Got that part. I seen the explosive plays. I seen Jimmy Ward give up the big play. I seen Derek Stingley somewhat give up the big play. He's going to be blamed for it, but it wasn't his fault. And you brought it to light about Eric Murray. I'm going to talk about him in just a second. But John, when you look at that type of first half, the game is 2 halves, John. It's 2 halves. They got a first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And if you can erase all the stuff that happens in the first half and play well in the second half, now you're looking at it like, okay, we made some mistakes. We gave up 20 points in the first half. We did. We gave up 3 points to start the second half, if I'm not mistaken. John, in the second half, do you know that the Tennessee Titans only had 121 total yards? 121 total yards. 70 of that came off of 1 play. Thanks, Eric Murray, for whiffing on the tackle. But John,
really quick, I know you said Eric Murray name, and I gotta say this: I am retracting my FanDuel. He is back to being the Eric Murray that I talked about 3 years ago.
Yeah, until he get a pick in Jacksonville, then he's gonna be like, Eric Murray is
He's back.
He's back. Oh my God! Hey, did you hear the new Kendrick? He's back. So anyway, in the third quarter,
he's back.
Levis threw for 29 yards, John.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, he threw for 72 yards. 70 of that came on 1 play, John. So he threw for 2 yards and a touchdown. Right? In the second half, he was 7 to 12 for 101 yards. Tony Pollard, hold on, what did I do? Tony Pollard had 30 yards rushing after averaging almost 9 yards a carry, almost 100 yards in the first half. They held him to 30 yards. And John, you started to see the shift in the defense. So yes, I get it.
Yeah, the defense gave the offense plenty of opportunities.
Yes,
in that second half, and then to your point, I think they had the pick 6, but it was a lot of punting going on for the Houston Texans. They didn't go for it on a 4th and 1 on the positive side of the field, which they probably should have because they needed those points. So I agree.
And so, John, so now, with all that being said, the defense, who has more touchdowns in the second half in the last 6 games than the offense does, they've scored back-to-back 2 weeks. Last week, it was a scoop and score by Derek Barnett. This week, it was a pick 6 by Jimmy Ward to give them a 24-23 lead at the end of the third quarter. What happens? Okay, pause for 1 second. Let me say this. On the 38-yard touchdown pass that Derek Stingley, quote unquote, gave up, right? If you go back and you look at the play, Derek Stingley is running, but he's running on his side of the field, making sure that nothing happens towards the sideline. He's basically passing him up to the over-the-top help that he's supposed to have in Eric Murray. But then you go back and you look at Eric Murray, and Eric Murray is coming down towards the wide receiver as the wide receiver is running towards him.
But see that goes back to my point. I'm looking at it through the eyes of Demeco. My defense, we've been coached up to not do this. And I don't know if they need to go a different route with a different safety coach next year. I'm not sure. But
it ain't Adegoji. It ain't Adegoji.
But I'm trying to maybe find out where could they go. That's maybe a very premature conversation. But what my thought process right now is, he said we got to do a very good job of basically holding each other down on both sides of the ball. It ain't all on the offense.
John, listen, through the eyes, then Demeco needs glasses so thick that if he starts to cry, they fill up and his eyeballs just float on the inside of those glasses. John, there's no possible way that he could think that is somebody. You got to hold somebody else down. Derek Stingley's doing his job. Where's Eric Murray going? John, I showed you during the game. We looked at the play. There's nobody else in his zone. Nobody else but that one wide receiver. And you come downhill. It wasn't even a good double move. It was barely a double move. Now, okay, cool. That happens. We can live with that.
And then you whiff on another one.
Come on now, John.
And then you whiff on another.
Come on. Stop.
Don't
give me that coach speak. Give me John.
But it was okay because but look at okay again. I'm justifying Demeco's comments because the Titans only scored 18.4 points per game. My defense allowed 20 to them in the first half. I can't have that. Okay, not in my house. The 2 touchdown plays in the first half for the Tennessee Titans, 16 plays, 184 yards on 3rd and 11. Jimmy Ward got beat for 63 yards. 1 play in the second half, going to the second half, 1 play for 70 yards to a tight end. These are the type of things a defensive coach like Demeco that has coached over 3 overall defense will not allow and stand for.
Well, so CJ gave him 3 points at the end of the first half.
Yeah, he did.
It should have been 17-17.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so even if they give up that, even if they give up that field goal to start, they're still in the game. Then CJ gives it right back. And then Eric Murray, because if you look at the play, even though Henry To'o a bit on the play action, he still should have had some help behind him. And so my thing is, I understand Eric Murray is not supposed to be a full-time safety. He's not. This is on Demeco, and this is on Nick Caserio, because you know that you should have went out and had some type of safety net. You knew that he wasn't a full-time safety, and you knew that that Jimmy Ward is getting older, getting what we like to say long in the tooth. No, John, I understand what Demeco's saying because he does coach the defense side of the ball, but his defense had 8 sacks, 3 turnovers. John, what else they want to do? And at some point, you got him on the field. Did that or did that not look like the Davis Mills years?
It definitely looked like the Davis Mills years. And let me reiterate myself by saying I 100% agree with you. I'm justifying Demeco Ryan's comments because he is the defensive coach. And I know those breakdowns and errors of all things, those errors, those mental mistakes is what is really, getting them hot right now. But he said we need more contemporary football. We can't expect one side to carry us. I think that is a sub to everybody. Hey, offense, where were y'all in the second half when we needed y'all? Hey, defense, you should have had your offense back in the second half when they needed y'all. And the Houston Texans, a theme for them this year has been we're not competing to the best of our ability for 4 quarters, and that's what's hurt this team. Now we got to talk about the positive.
No, they make the play changing call. Make the play calling duty change after the bye week. Then my bad.
Hey, listen, I ain't mad at you. We got more Texans talk on the other side because, sorry, there are some good things that this team could build on. There go that smile. We got more Texans talk, guys. However, Texan fans, it's kind of been a rough one for you guys, but you can always make the sport NFL football experience. You can always make that fun and take it to the next level with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. They are here to make the Texans game a little bit more exciting every time they step out on the field, but they got some season hot props and odds right now. I don't know how you guys feel about CJ Stroud over 3,500 passing yards this season. Those odds are looking strong, and he may be able to go ahead and get that. Or look, before the season, they had Will Anderson Jr. racking up 10 or more sacks. That's a prop that would have paid off big as he continues to dominate in his first game back. Man, that was an amazing game. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, make sure you check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. Battle Red Nation, we finally get Big Sar smiling again, and I think, honestly, it wasn't nothing really to smile about for those first 2 segments. But as pissed as everybody may be right now, and Sarge, I'm seeing it all. Maybe Demeco Ryans ain't the coach for this team. Is he losing control of this team? Maybe CJ ain't who we thought he was. We got to have a conversation. Maybe this team just ain't as good as we thought they were. And I think that's probably true. But the rest of that stuff is incredibly insane to say. I will say there were some good things to build off of. Will Anderson, first game back. Danielle Hunter continues to tear it up for the Houston Texans. And just that D front all together, man, those guys have been playing some great football for the Houston Texans all year. You can make the case that they are the best defensive line unit in the NFL. I think that's fair. And I think this is what's going to be the catalyst to the Houston Texans making any kind of playoff run. If they do make a playoff run, don't think that they're going to make a playoff run like we thought at the beginning of the year. But if there's a run to be had, it will be because they won the trenches up front consistently more than any other team in the NFL.
John, I'm going to go to another group that I think that did a damn good job today. I mean, a dang good job on Sunday. And something that you said and you brought up earlier last week. Man, that special teams balled out. Take away Kaimi Fairbairn's miss, that 28-yard field goal. Let's just go ahead and remove that, even though he did break a record for the most 50-yard field goal. I think he got 12 this season. I think they broke an NFL record for the most 50-plus.
Do they trust him too much?
Do they trust him too much? I don't think that they trust him too much. I think that he's all they have in the second half. So it's not that they trust him too much. It's just that this all we can get. We gotta try. This all we can. We gotta try to get some points because we can't leave it up to the offense to score touchdowns. This all we got. John, listen, Smokey, go to the store and give me. This ain't enough. What did Mama say? Exactly.
Make it enough. Make some 3 points enough.
They got to make it enough. So, John, the special teams balled out today. Dameon Pierce started the game with an 80-yard run on the kickoff, which was beautiful because it looked like he was stopped. Next thing you know, he popped out of there and was gone. The Texans were able to get on the board like that. Chris Boyd was able to come up with a fumble recovery on the special teams, right? So everything was going according to plan. Kaimi looked good until he didn't look good. But that special teams, John, that special team balled out for the Houston Texans. And so you got the defense balling out in the second half. You got the special teams doing what they're supposed to do. It's just one position. It's one group, John, that's not holding their weight and has not been holding their weight for a long time in the second half.
And what's frustrating to that point is, we see the flashes. Dameon Pierce comes out, heck of a return, first play on offense. CJ connects with rookie Ohio State Buckeye Cade Stover for a touchdown.
Yep.
Right, and they're moving with some tempo, right? The drive where you see CJ and Nico connect for the 56-yard catch, and then they connect later in the drive for the touchdown. So, if we look at some promises or positives to build on, just the consistent connection between Nico and CJ Stroud would have won the game on a TD that was called back, but we know about the illegal motion. CJ and Tank, I think, are starting to get in a better groove within the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks compared to where they were at the beginning of the season. Of course, what's the difference? No Stephon Diggs, taking up his opportunities. But Tank got to do something with those hands. He's dropping passes right now. I think he is number 6 in the NFL with a 9% drop rate from receivers. Just not good. A lot of these uncharacteristic things from some of these offensive players are becoming more characteristic for them. But another positive thing to build on, in that first half, the Texans offensive line did not register a sack.
Yeah.
And they gave CJ some damn good time. This is another reason why I say, man, we got to put some blame on him because we just talked about it. His passing mechanics are thrown off a little bit from being hit so much. A few weeks ago, he was sacked 9 times. That ain't even counting the times he was just hit. So some of those passing mechanics from him as a passer, I think, need to settle down, reset, because they gave him time in the pocket. to either take the big play, which is what he is hunting for, take what's underneath, or if anything, use your legs and pick up what the defense is giving him.
That's what I
And I
told him,
thought he did
John.
a better job in the second half. I mean, the first half with that compared to in the second half. But overall, Sarge, if you can define this game with 3 words, how would you define it?
Define this game in 3 words.
Or if you can define it any way you want to define it, how will you define this loss?
Hold on for a second. Terrible. This is worse than losing to the Lions. This is worse than losing to the Jets. This loss was horrible. Oh, no. This loss, eye opener.
That this is not a serious team for real. They're good enough to win their division. They're good enough to beat under 500 teams.
AFC South champs, John.
A couple of under 500 teams are going to sneak up on them and win. They're not going to beat any over 500 teams. They may sneak one in at the end of the year, but overall, it seems like the mirror has been shown to us, and the reflection of this team is they are not real or ready right now. We got more Locked On Texans throughout the week. Please make sure you subscribe, like, and comment to the YouTube page and the audio wherever you listen to your audio podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12.
And you can follow me. Oh, my bad.
And on Instagram, Some Sports Guy.
My bad, John, for jumping the gun. You can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Star Sports with the Z at the end.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the week. Some of us will be off. Peace.